Hello y'all, Sets with Chi. Welcome to another video. I just did a delivery of 2 rakes for one of my delivery apps, and I just said, you know what, let me just go ahead and put out this video. Please, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe so that you can get notified when I post. Like the video to share it to more people. Leave your comments, guys, and let's get to it, guys. The title of today's video is the narcissist in your family, your narcissistic parents, will try to steal your children away from you. They will try to turn them against you. And this is something that I have experienced firsthand. They will try so hard to turn them against you, and they will use something that is called grooming. Okay, that is a word that is, if you know anything about narcissism or narcissistic abuse, that is a word that you have to understand. Grooming. Okay, the narcissist in your family will try to groom you. Okay, they will try to groom your children. Okay, they try to groom you too, to be, and that's the reason why, for a lot of us in our 40s, even 50s, I'm 42, are still codependent, are still dependent on mom and dad for, for things, for repairs and stuff. And that is not the way that God wants you to be, because God has put so much potential in you. God has put God has put so much gifts in you, so much. God has put so much in you. God has put too much in you for you to be codependent on demons. Okay, God does not want you to be codependent on these people. Okay, so bottom line, these people will try to steal your children away, guys, and this is so true. I mean, I experienced this firsthand. I have 3 children. I have an adult child, and I have 2 teenage children. One is 17, one is 16. And over the years, when I was with my ex, especially when they were younger, my mother would try to draw, especially my oldest child, she would try to draw her to her side. She would try to, like, take her away from me, like literally, like by, and it's not the way that you would think. Okay, it's not the way that you and like a normal person would think. The way narcissists draw and take your children away from you is by gifts. Okay, and then my mom would try to badmouth me to my daughter. You see how evil this is? My daughter would, my mom was trying to take my daughter, my oldest daughter, away from me. And more recently, very recently, I found out why they are like lavish with like money. They can like send them like $500 on a random day for nothing, just like, and using that money, it's very, very tricky. It's very, very demonic. Using that money, that money, okay, to triangulate you with your children. Okay, because when the children see that you're being given all these full amounts of money, I mean, they're being given all these full amounts of money, and you don't give them that amount of money. You make them, work, and you make them do chores and stuff. And here comes grandma, giving them like all this lavish amount of money. It is to try to buy their hearts. They will try to buy their hearts. And I've seen this time and time again, guys. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was, but I knew, like, I didn't know what it was then, but I knew there was certainly something wrong with it. There was one of my clients that was doing the exact same thing. I ended up blocking her, okay? She would have her granddaughters over, and especially the oldest one was the one that she, like, I guess you could say loved. That was the one that she was grooming the most, okay? And she would like let her buy like a whole bunch of things from like Shein, like, and she would do all these different things. She would like have her pick whatever hairstyle that she wants, really long, the ones that her mom will probably not agree with. She would, and then she would use me, the hair braider, okay, because I'm a mobile braider, and then she would use me as the one of, obviously the one that she would pay to get that hair done. And then while she's getting her hair done, she would like get on, and she doesn't like discuss, you know, the length, the style with her daughter, you know, and then she would have her the granddaughter pick the style that she wants, right? And then she's like, well, when she's at grandma's, she can do whatever. She gets whatever style that she wants. She gets to buy whatever she wants. And then she'll be like rubbing it in her daughter's face. Her daughter seemed like a narcissist too, but like that does not give her a right to do that, you know? And me learning a lot about narcissism, even though I didn't know exactly what that particular thing was, I didn't know it was grooming. It was more recently when I was watching some videos on narcissism, I started realizing that that's what it was, because it happened to my children. My mother, you know, I didn't have a lot of money, and I guess my daughter, that time she was younger, because my daughter would come back and tell me everything my mom did, which was a good thing, and everything my mom would say about me. And there were times that my mom would even like insult me, and my daughter, you know, would hear, you know. And I remember like when my mom was saying that my daughter should not get a car, my oldest should not get a car, because it was when I got a car when I was a teenager that I ran away, right? You know, and she was like, we don't want her to do the same thing. And these people take no accountability for their actions. She forgot that the reason, well, or maybe she chose to not remember, right, to gaslight herself. The reason why I ran away in the first place was because she was so demonic. It was because the house was so crazy and demonic and chaotic with her and my dad. That was the reason why I ran away. But she chose to believe, you know, they have that false narrative, right? They try to see themselves as a saint and everybody else as, you know, the antagonizer, right? So she was saying, so when I was like, okay, you know what, Mom, you need to stay in your lane on this one. Like, this does not concern you. And then so she started like, so I told her to stay in her lane, and then she was walking up the stairs and cussing me under her breath, like loud enough so my daughter was hearing. And then so my daughter was telling me like, oh, Grandma was like cussing you out and stuff, like, guys. So going back to what I was saying about these people, that my hair client was trying to use her daughter, her granddaughter, as a way to control her daughter. You would see it as grandma is only being kind. Grandma is only being generous. Grandma is only being this, or grandma is only, but forgetting that grandma is being demonic. Grandma is trying to draw that daughter to her side. A lot of times she would spend weekends with her grandma, you know, and that was her way, you know, of grooming her, okay? Buying all these lavish gifts that her mother would and her father would not ordinarily have the money for. So she would feel like going to grandma's more. She would feel like spending more time. So it's like buying their love to turn them against you. Okay? So when you understand that this is how these people react, this is how these people act, then you would understand that these people are nothing to play with. Okay? These people are nothing to play with. I told you that more recently, I pulled my children away from my parents. We were coming them every single holiday, but I didn't realize how demonic it was. My dad is an enabler. My mom is a covert narcissist. My dad is a narcissist as well, but he is more of the coward. He's more of the one that goes along with whatever my mom wants, you know, but he has his own motives as well. Okay? They all have evil motives, okay? But it's all about selfishness. It's all about control. Who has that power, okay? And they know that money equals power, all right? So they use that to their advantage. They use it for their grandkids. They use it to triangulate their kids. And eventually, and what my mom was hoping to do was that she was hoping to make my daughter turn against me, okay, because she was jealous of, because she knew that we were not that close. My mom and I have never really been close, you know, especially as I started getting older and I started realizing certain things, you know, like becoming a teenager, and after that, like she, you know, would do certain things. My father and I were close, but more recently I pulled away from him because I realized that he was just as bad. He was the enabler. He was the one that swept everything under the rug, so that you know, when you're trying to, like, you know, you get angry with certain things that, you know, they would do or she would do, you know, he would try to like he calls himself the peacemaker, try to cool everything down so yeah, you wouldn't think too hard about what is being done, you know. It was such a toxic atmosphere that I ran away, okay? And so my mom would always try to use money to try to literally like just rob me of my kids. Sometimes she would come unannounced, you know, or she would say, or she would text that she's coming, you know, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not home right now. And she's like, it doesn't matter, you know, are the kids home? You know, that was the way she was, okay? She wanted to take over my kids, you know, and a lot of times my ex would allow her to do whatever. You know, he would allow her to do whatever because he was a narcissist too. And a lot of times they would collab to try to destroy me, you know, and it was just like a really like bad, toxic, like a really hard situation. And, you know, it was like one that like you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. But I know a lot of people that subscribe to this channel are going through the exact same thing. They use triangulation, they use gifts. My dad was a gift giver, to monitor. They use the gifts to control. They use the gifts to, they use gifts to pit people against each other. And they use gifts to buy the love. It's like a grooming mechanism. Money, gifts. That's the reason why they're so greedy. You know, they have a pride of life, accomplishments. You know, well, you know, I have 2 doctor's degrees. Nothing is wrong with having accomplishments, but they idolize the things of this world. And God said that we should not put our eyes on things that are below, where rust and thieves can rot, and rust can rot all those things away. Those things are not lasting, okay? God wants us to put our trust in him, you know, on things above, heavenly things. Things like purpose, pulling people away from destruction, true love, sacrifice, you know. And God calls us as chosen ones to come away and come out of the world. But narcissists worship things of the world. You see what I'm saying? So it's like God calls us away from them. So if you have children, you know, I feel for you, because like me, it was really difficult, because it's like if you think about it in like without that rose-colored glasses, you'd be like, well, is their grandparents, you know, yeah, they need to spend time with their grandparents. Yeah, they need to, you know, like, it's like you will not, like, if you think about it through like rose-colored lenses, you know, and you're not aware of the knowledge, because when you know, when I was still asleep, I didn't realize how bad it was, how detrimental it was, you know, because they would groom you to not even have your own mind. My father was doing it. He would say he's coming over on a Sunday, and he would play videos about careers that, you know, he would like the children to consider. You know, he would play videos about certain things, you know, and it was all indoctrination. It was later I realized that's what it was. You know, he would tell them to show their grades so that he can give a reward for a certain grade. $50 for an A, a certain amount of money for a B, maybe $40 for a B, $30 for a C. So he would add everything up, you know, and that's how much they would get, you know. But it was all the way to spy, to monitor, you know. And those things are supposed to be private. That is not anybody's business except maybe the parents, you know. So there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot like to like try to like unravel here, but ultimately you need to, if you're getting this knowledge, and like my kids are already teenagers, like my oldest is an adult, so you know, she blocked my mom and she doesn't talk to my dad. I don't know if she blocked him too, but it's like a lot of things that I'm like literally just finding out. I always knew that like what my mom was doing was like evil, like even with the gifts and stuff. Like I knew there were ulterior motives, but I didn't know like how sinister it was, you know, because God is literally unraveling, you know, their heart posture towards me, you know, and their heart posture is what the devil uses. You know, their hate towards you, their envy towards you is what the devil uses to control them, you know, to work in and through them. Okay, they have an evil, they have a wicked, they have an envious, jealous spirit. Okay, and then combined with that Jezebel, you know, spirit, you know, they just have a lot going, but it's not godly, it's satanic. Okay, and you know, like I want my children to grow up and be themselves and serve God, and you know, and just not be so caught up with like the things of the world, the pride of life, and all these different things. That's what they're caught up in, all these different things, all wrapped up in things that do not satisfy. Okay, they're wrapped up in things that they're like an empty vessel. They're an empty vessel, but they're empty within themselves. But they're, because they have not let God in and they refuse to repent, they're full of demons. Okay, their soul is empty, you know, but there's never any void. You know, we know that there's no void, that is either you have God, there's no in between, or you're going to be full of demons, you know. And because of their heart posture that is stony and it's wicked, it's full of demons. Okay, so you have to keep your children away from these people, because they will give gifts, lavish gifts, and you would think that it's to bless the children, but it's a way for them to pull them away from you. So eventually, when the children will start looking down on you because you might not have much, you know, or you might not be in a, you know, have the high accomplishments and be able to give them the high gifts, you know, so they will spoil them rotten, so that they will become narcissistic, so that they will become entitled, and they will look down on you, and eventually they'll start gossiping and sending texts to each other about you, you know, gossiping, and just like, I mean, they are literally trying to raise and groom more narcissists, because they don't have anything good to offer. You know, they don't have anything good to offer. You know, so they're gonna shell out that demonic energy through gifts and favors and all those different things, and they will steal your children away from you right under your nose. So this is something like I literally just discovered. I didn't know how sinister it was, but I'm here as a warning trumpet, a bell, ringing that bell to let you know. Don't let your children, if you discern that your parents are narcissistic or narcissists, and you already know what you went through with them, you know, all the abuse and all the devaluation, and how they try to diminish your destiny, they try to crush you, you know, and now you are allowing your children to be around them. That is a no-no. Don't do it. Do not do it. Don't do it. Stay away from them, because they come to kill, to steal, and destroy. They will steal your children. You know, they've already tried to steal your destiny, and by crushing you and minimizing you, never validating you. You know, like for me, for example, with my hair braiding, they try to make it seem like I had to go for something higher, you know, and I went for nursing. I was not happy. I was sad. And I realized that I'm a business person. Whatever I'm doing has to be business related. It has to be, it's, you know, having a 9-to-5 was never me, you know, and I always strive in business, because I, you know, learning and I've, over the years, I've taken courses, you know, teaching me how to market and different things. And, you know, so I'm able to do that successfully. but building on different businesses, having multiple sources of income, and just different things. But it's step by step. I'm not where I want to be, but God is taking me level by level, step by step, as I'm fulfilling purpose by putting out videos and encouraging chosen ones. To me, that is the ultimate, helping to pull people out of darkness. Okay, because it's all true knowledge, because the Bible says my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So when you learn the tactics of these demons in your family, when you learn the tactics, then you're able to break free for real, because now you know exactly what they're up to. All right, I'm gonna leave it here. Make sure you like the video to share it to more people. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave your comments, because your comments are encouraging to me, and they testify, and help to break that, to lift that veil and break that bondage that a lot of people are in. So and I've started a community. It's called Our Father's Business, helping people to break free from codependency and walk free, fulfilling purpose. Okay, it's on Skool. So I want to leave a link in the description. So it's $9 a month. So just, I want to share more knowledge. I have so much going on right now, but yeah, I'm just trying to build and just do the work of God, because that's what God calls us to do. All right, guys, until next time, peace and God bless.